Our dear friends, Fisher here. It's time for Bruno's teaching. And Bruno said, "You know that it is my inescapable calling to show human beings the path they need to follow and how they can free themselves of all burdens. But this path is long and difficult." Yes, dear friends, Bruno, like many sages, like Christ, he tried a very, very difficult path in order to help us, in order to guide humanity back on God's right path, God's divine path. What Bruno was doing was like climbing Himalayan mountain to reach Mount Everest. It is very, very difficult, extremely difficult, dear friends. If you do a difficult things, you can tell others how difficult the thing is. But unless others do it themselves, they do not know. You know how difficult thing is. When you're in pain, you know, you feel it. And when you struggle to walk, you know, you feel it, dear friends. Others might only see and hear your difficulties, but they do not feel it. Yes, dear friends, that's what's happened to Bruno. He is like a God's sacrifice. His whole life here on earth, 50 years plus, 53, his whole life is like a sacrifice. He did nothing for himself. He could use his ability to make millions of dollars. And then he once said that if he wants to be rich, he will be the richest man in the world. But he did not. He often doesn't even have a dollar, a one Deutschmark in his pocket. He was very, very poor, financially speaking, because he came here to help us. All the abilities he possessed, that given by God for all his neighbors, for all human beings around him, and all around the world. He was completely ego-free. Can you imagine, dear friends? You have anybody around you that is completely ego-free, completely selfless, completely loving. I felt emotional to talk about Bruno's path, because I myself has been trying a very difficult path that is based on my perception of life is. And Bruno's path is beyond my imagination. What he had to endure. He wanted to pass on all the good from God to his fellow man, and he was forbidden to pass on God's divine healing energy, and he ended up burning himself up inside. And nobody noticed that, because nobody was able to see. He was able to help so many people, thousands of 10,000, millions of people at his time, but he wasn't allowed to help himself. That's how the way it is. He once said to a friend, he felt a sword is turning inside him. What kind of pain is that, dear friends? What kind of pain Bruno endured? Beyond our imagination, dear friends. That's the price he paid to help humanity. And he was willingly to do it. He was willingly to suffer from us. Suffer for every human being. With his sufferings, that we can again walk on God's divine path. Dear friends, Bruno always said his path is very long and difficult. It always has been. And I asked myself the question, What does it take to save humanity? To save us from falling over and over again, to save us from the devil, to deliver us from our transgressions. What does it take? The high evolved soul, like Bruno or many other souls, has to endure all this to be able to help his fellow man. Yes, dear friends, Bruno has done so much for us, and he is still helping us. And once he asked a question to his friend, I have done so much for you. What do you do for me? He didn't ask this question to ask anything for return, but he wants us to think, what can we do for ourselves? What can we do for him to help him with his divine task? And I got answer. To help Bruno, I first must help myself. To be healthy, to be completely healthy, to do what Bruno said, to follow his teaching. Before I could help others, I must first help myself. And this is time, Bruno said, you should be egoistic in terms of your health. So be healthy, that you will be full of God's divine energy. And when we're full of God's divine energy, we will naturally radiate our peace, love, joy to the people around us. So dear friends, Bruno has done so much for us, and it's time we do a lot more for ourselves. And then when we're well, we're healthy, we're peaceful, we're calm, we're loving, and we can help others. When we're full of God's divine energy within us, that's the time we'll be able to love others like ourselves, as what Christ has commanded. We should have a good day, dear friends, and God bless.